Good morning. Happy Friday. How we doing, Johnny Mo?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Great. It's decent weather up here. Looks like it might be a decent weekend, so looking forward to that.
Yeah, man. Spring has sprung, and you know what? For me, when it becomes spring in New England, that's summer.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't we have 4 seasons. We kind of joke. It's more like 8. You got like winter, second winter, fake spring, real spring. We got all those different sections of time where, it feels like the weather's changing and then it'll surprise you and go right back. But
Yeah.
anyways, April 21st, I feel like we're through the worst of it and heading for better stuff. So that's always good.
Yeah, for sure. Onward. That's all we can do. We can't even look backwards. Onward. What do we got?
Exactly.
What do we got tomorrow?
Exactly. Well, and I will say the weather's gotten nicer and the spring market certainly has arrived. So for those of you that were, maybe a little quiet the last few months, hopefully you're seeing things pick up. And
Mm.
that's actually one of the first topics we want to dive into today is I've been having a lot of conversation with agents around the marketplace, our marketplace, other marketplaces. And there's this sense that everything's good again. The market's good again. Everything's good and I'm in good shape and the business is going to be good. I'm gonna have a great summer. Um, and and I always look at these cycles, because I consider this a cycle. Seasonality is a form of a cycle. These cycles are
Yeah.
are good and bad. They're good because business comes from it and everything seems good. They're bad because it lulls us into this false sense of thinking that we're winning. Because what happens is we get busy again. What do? We stop doing the things we need to do to make sure that the next cycle that goes against us, we're ready for. So, the reason we did the 90-90 earlier this year was because we were in a shift cycle. Market was shifting, volume was way down, inventory was at historic lows. So we decided we were going to be the group that went out and basically dug in and worked harder. And we took 60 listings in 90 days. Honestly, we took more listings than some of the brokerages around us. And now because of that, not only are we getting the benefit of the season changing, but we've also got all that inventory we already had brought. So, we're not off. We're not off much to what we were where we thought we'd be at this point in the year. Where I know a lot of other people feel like they're really just getting started now.
Yeah. And seasonality happens and it's going to be
Yep.
busier certain times of year. There's going to be some other factors and stuff like that. And I think one of the stress points that most people have about the market going up and the market going down and this is they actually have no business plan.
Right.
Right? They don't even if your goal says that you need to sell, I'm just going to be real easy and gentle here. If your goal is to sell 24 units per year to a month, right? That gets you to the goal, gets you to that number that you want, whatever that number is. Maybe it's 36 and it's 3 a month. Maybe it's 48 and it's 4 a month, right? It's a moot point. If you get 10 this month and none the next 2 months, you're still on par.
Yep.
But there's no off switch in this button, and it's something that I struggle with because I actually threw the button in the ocean years ago. There's no on switch, right?
Yeah.
It's I'm off doing other things now, but when you don't even know where you're going, how do you expect to get there, right? Just like the Cheshire Cat says, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there.
Yep.
Right? I mean, he says a little bit different than that, but that's how I say it. But it's the same thing. So people they freak out. It's like the market's great, and it's always listen. The real estate prayer goes something like this: Lord, please give me just one more rush, one more closing, and I swear I won't blow it this time. But you do every time, right? So people get into their thinking and their habits become cyclical with whatever the cycle is as well.
Mhm.
Where if your goal is to sell 24 a year, let's say you sold your 24 by June, what then?
Right.
Do you keep going? Right? You go for those stretch goals and keep going. But you have to be able to define what it is that you want, how you're getting there, and track the results of how you're getting there. I don't know.
Mhm.
Maybe I'm just off base and crazy.
No. I mean, we're we're big proponents of you got to measure the inputs, and I look at right now things are the temperatures are heating up, market's heating up, things are getting better, stuff's going under contract. Like a lot of agents right now are like, okay, like I can take a deep breath. The last few months were terrible, but I'm back on track, and here comes the business. But really, in the meantime, what are you doing to make sure that the next time that cycle happens, you don't feel the same thing you did the last few months? Are you Where on your calendar are you continuing to lead generate and network and work on your business? Or are you just solely serving clients right now because I got to get those closings because they're here right now, and in 4 or 5 months when the market shifts back and we're outside of the peak season again, well, then what? Will I have anything, or am I just going to like take the winter off again? And I think that's where you see the different. The reason 87% of people fail out of this business is that exact reason. It's boom or bust.
Mm.
How do you set your business up in a way? How do you set your schedule up in a way? How do you allocate your energy in a way where you can avoid the boom and the bust cycle and create a sustainable, steady business? And that's what we've always preached. Do the activities, whether the market's good or bad, and things will happen. When things are good, it's that much better. When things are bad, it's just not that bad. But find a way to be able to begin to stabilize and steady that out, because the boomer bust cycles of this business are what drive people out of it.
I don't. I agree with that. It's feast or famine, really, right? And the salaried mindset allows for the creation of the exchange. And what I mean by that is, people are coming into this business from all walks of life, from all experiences at all different ages, where a lot of us are programmed. And I don't want this to sound conspiratorial. We need this programming, right? We want to move together, and it's a social contract. I go to work, I get a 401k, I get to retire when I'm 82, right? So but they come in with a salaried mindset where if I do this work, I'm exchanging that time I've invested, those
Yep.
40 hours, for a paycheck. And so then they get into this business where the only thing that they know is how to exchange time for the paycheck,
Mhm.
right? So they're always working to exchange that time for the paycheck. They get paycheck, they pay their bills, everything. Oh, back, I got to get that again. I got to get that again. If your goal is 24 per year, set your goal for 36. Then take those extra 12 and put that into an account, into a business account that you're not going to touch.
Mhm.
That is now your operating money. Now you don't have to do this,
Right.
right? You don't have to do that exchange.
Yeah, and one of the things we recommend to a lot of our agents too, and we have a couple people that we work with that help agents do just this. But if you really want that stable income, that steady income, and you don't want that boom or bust, well, then set up your business in an S corp and pay yourself payroll. And when you have a great month, awesome. You just accumulate more money and it sits there until you need it. If you don't have a good month, you can use that accumulated money to continue to pay you for a period of time. So that way, you're not stressing over, will I be able to pay my mortgage and my rent this month? Will I eat? Um, you're not worried about that. Like you've set yourself up in a way where you're going to get a salary. Now, obviously, if the business is quiet for too long and you eat up that cash and there's nothing left to pay you, then you've got a problem. But if you really want that comfort of knowing boom or bust, I'm going to set it up in a way where I'm going to get paid, do that. Put your business in an S corp, pay yourself payroll, allow the good months to cover the bad months, and let that flow through so you've got a consistent, steady income. Because to your point, Johnny Moe, this is a business where you can literally make all your money in a very short window of time. And then it becomes a matter of how good are you at budgeting? Because what do we all do? A little extra money in the bank. Oh, vacation time. I need a new computer. My vehicle's older. I'm gonna upgrade it. Like we have it. We checkbook budget. If it's there, we spend it. So you need a mechanism to help yourself get through those times. So, step one is continue to focus on working on your business. Building that pipeline, whether things are good or bad. But also maybe you want to structure your business in a way where you've got some consistency in the income so that you don't feel those peaks and valleys.
Ugh. Part of me, I thought I was listening to myself there for a minute, because I've been preaching this for years.
Yep.
You got to run your business like a business because it is a business.
Yep.
Plain and simple. Okay. One of the problems I see is, and it's not even my concept, it's Rich Dad Poor Dad's concept. On the left quadrant, you got the employee and the self-employed person.
Yep.
And too many people in our business are running around as a self-employed person. Listen, it's your life. You run your life however you want. I am not
Yep.
going to judge you.
100%.
I'm not going to tell you it's right, wrong, or indifferent.
Do your thing.
Just going to tell you, when you get over into the right-hand quadrant, where you become a business owner or an investor, it's a different mindset. And there's a big difference between the self-employed person and the business owner, right? There is a difference, and understanding what that, I just said understanding, which is the first principle of UPAD: understand, plan, action, and discipline, right? You got to understand what you want to do, what you are, what you're doing, what you want to do, where you're going. You have to understand all that, create a plan for that, put it into action, and then have the discipline to do the work. That creates accountability back to your own management level. And I think that right there, that connection is the missing piece in so many people's business.
Absolutely. And also the part of, how do you transition yourself to being an investor? Well, you need to take those good months and do something with those funds that take care of you for a longer period of time. And I saw a post last night in one of those Facebook groups, and somebody was basically saying, "Hey, I'm retiring. I own 9 properties and some short-term rentals and long-term rentals, and it creates enough cash flow where I'm going to retire. I'm 65 years old or 67 years old, and I'm ready to retire." And the funny part is a lot of people in that group are like, "Yo, congratulations, that's great for you." And then other people are like, 9 units, those types of properties won't cash flow. And will 9 units ever pay your cost of living? And blah blah. Like people wanted to like throw stones at this person. And I'm thinking, this is the only time in anybody's life you'll see where you generally hate somebody's success, honestly, because you hate it because it's not yours. You hate what you ain't.
Yeah.
But here's somebody who did the right thing. Over time, they accumulated that portfolio. When they had a good month, they set it aside. They bought real estate. And as we all say, if you've got no plan for your income, and it's a big part of the business planning process that we go through is to have not just what income you want to make, but what your plan for it. If you don't have a plan for that income, and it's just going to sit in an account and potentially get spent, or just sit there and kind of ride along, well, that's silly, because the value of cash, as we all know, especially in an inflationary environment like we've been in, is continually going down. The dollar is worth less today than it was yesterday, and it will forever be worth less than it was before. So go find an avenue for that. And if that's real estate, great. If it's the stock market, if crypto is your thing and you understand it, please make sure you understand it, because crypto to me is a giant black box and it scares the hell out of me. Go find something to do with that money that's going to take care of you for more than just the next month. And that's ultimately, there is no real estate 401k. You've got to be and there's no entrepreneurial 401k. You need to be building your own retirement plan and using that additional income when you have it to begin to think about not what current you needs, but what future you is going to be thankful current you did for them.
Yeah. You can do what I did too and give it all away to somebody through a market crash and a divorce. But anyways, that's always fun. That's a different conversation for a different day.
Or pay the IRS.
The dollar is getting weaker. It is just the way it is. Again, I don't want this to sound political or conspiratorial. It is what it is. Okay. And all you have to do is take a moment into global, take a look at global macroeconomics and the global economics of the world and see what's happening with the world and the dollar and the currency systems. And actually take a look at, I'm hearing more and more people talk about how hard it is for them to live right now, because everything is getting more expensive. That's inflation, right? The dollar is worth less. Now, people can laugh all they want. People can criticize all they want to the people that are doing it. But Gary Vaynerchuk says, if you ain't beating me, you can't laugh at me. Right. So if I position myself that I'm just going to use the number of $3,000 a month passive income. It's attainable, right? That ain't so far off that you can't achieve it. $3,000 a month. I can go live in Belize for $975 a month in a 2-bedroom apartment looking at the water. I can go live. I say I don't have any commitments here anymore. My kids are raised, right?
Yep.
I as soon as I'm out of this place, I can go anywhere I want for as long as I want and do whatever I want. And I can go to Belize and I can legitimately stay there for a year. Okay, there's a process to it. Get my permanent residency, and now I'm living there for less than $1,000 a month in a tropical place with monkeys and bananas everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't do that here. So you can laugh at me if people will be like, "Oh, you're only making $36,000 a year, but I'm living like a king."
Yeah.
Right. So people can criticize all they want. That's because they're miserable with their own self.
Well, yeah, and at the same point though, like $3,000 a month anywhere in the States, like if I've got $3,000 a month in passive income, now all of a sudden my mortgage is paid, my insurance is paid for, my groceries are paid for. Like that's not like necessarily retirement money. It's not going to get you necessarily where you want to go, but it's life changing in the sense that now a lot of your base costs are covered. So the income off your business all just becomes above and beyond that. And what I find is that when you've got that stable baseline of income, whether it's through other sources or whatever you've got, this business becomes a lot more fun, because you're not necessarily worried about the exchange, as you call it. You're not worried about, are they going to work with me today? And how do I get to the next closing? You're worried about, how do I bring more people in? How do I pick and choose the clients I want to work with? How do I find that segment of the market I really want to be in? You're not worried about how do I work with everybody. You're worried about how do I work with the people I really want to work with.
Yeah.
And then this business becomes fun. That database becomes fun. The social aspect becomes fun because you're no longer working with clients that you don't want to work with because you feel like you have to.
Yeah. And listen, man, passive income is a funny thing. Getting paid. I'm going to explain. I'm going to say this. I'm going to sound wicked cocky, but I can. Okay. I was mentored for an entire summer by a prior CFO of Putnam Funds.
Yep.
Guy's a Wall Street legend. Made mutual funds available to the average common person. Prior to this, in the 70s, they were only available to the elite. Okay. You had to be a sophisticated investor. Believe this or not, you had to be a sophisticated investor. They've been around since like 1929.
Yeah, long time.
Right. It wasn't until the 70s that they became available to you and me,
Mhm.
to the average person. And that has had a positive, dramatic impact on many people. And what Fred told me was this guy was on Bill Clinton's economic board of advisors. So when anybody in real estate tries to give me advice, I don't want it. I actually don't want your advice.
Yep.
I ain't looking for it. I didn't ask for it. There's very few people that I'll ask their advice on. Very few people when it comes into this world, into this realm. And those people that are snickering and laughing and everything, have a good day. Okay. I ain't listening to you. But what Fred did, he said, listen, the most people are on this side of the economy and they're paying into it.
Yep.
You need to be on this side of the economy and get paid from it. And when you do that, you've won the game.
Yep.
You've won the game. Now all you have to do is keep doing that. Right. So if you and Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki calls what you just explained, you only getting $3,000 a month in passive income. It's paying your rent, it's paying or mortgage, it's paying your utilities, it's paying your grocery, it's paying your life expenses. You are out of the rat race. All the money that you now make can be invested to increase that passive income. So then you can increase your quality of life, or however that might look to you.
Yep.
Maybe it's sending your kids to Harvard paid, right? Or maybe
Yeah.
it's going on I've been looking at 60-day cruises, okay? Without the internet package. So
Yeah. Gone.
gone for 60 days and just eat like a king. They have one for 133 days too, you see. And
Wow.
I'm thinking,
It's a long time on a boat.
right? But you're eating and you're relaxing
Yeah.
and doing yoga on the deck at 7 a.m.
Yep. But no, I think it's true though. I think a lot of people scoff at, well, if I'm not making $10,000 a month, then what's the point? Well, you don't get to $10,000 a month until you start at $100 a month and 500 and 1,000 and 1,500 and 2,000.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, the majority of us, $3,000, $5,000 a month is life changing. You may look at your total cost of living and go, well, it doesn't cover it all. That's okay. It covers all the base stuff. So if God forbid the market crashes and your business grinds to a halt, well, guess what? You're gonna have a roof over your head and food to eat. And that really, at its base level, that's all you need. No, maybe you're not taking the vacations and you're not funding your other hobbies and habits or accounts or whatever like that, but your base expenses are covered, and all that pressure and noise you feel from having to get that next closing and find that next client go away, and then the business becomes a lot of fun. But that's why everything we do is geared towards the long term. We're not worried about next quarter or next month or the end of this year. Like, we're thinking years down the road, because this is a build. This is a long-term build. It's a long-term play. We always stress the long game. We're getting in a relationship with people today that we know won't need us for years, and that's totally fine. We'll be there for them all the way through until they need us, because we're not worried about next month and next quarter and the rest of this year. We have that ability to play the long game because we know we're going to be here. But we know we're going to be here because we've been doing this all along, and we continue to do it every day. And that's why in the toughest market we've had in the last probably 5, 6, 7 years, we took more listings and some brokerages because we were continuing to do the things we always did that built the business the way it's been built. And when you have that mindset of, I'm going to control what I can control, I'm going to do what I have to do, and I'm going to play the long game. There's a reason that we get 200 plus transactions a year out of our database, because it's been built over so many years, and that takes care of us forever.
Yeah, I mean, what does the task say? Task task
Yeah.
on time on task over time.
Yes.
Gives you that result, right? Again, this is the part that cracks me up about real estate. So many agents will say, I'm worth my fee.
Mhm.
And I like to ask them why. And it's a logical question. And I know when I ask you guys of the Matea group, it's because we do X, X, X. We provide Y, Y,
Yep.
Y. Plus, I have years of experience. All right, cool. You told me why you're worth a fee. A lot of these other people will sit here and try to say, well, because I pay for every staple. Oh, yeah, welcome to owning a business. So does
Right.
that mean your customer or your client that you're closing with is
Yeah.
responsible for paying your business expenses throughout for that staple that didn't have anything to do with them? No, right? They look at their commission as their pay,
Mhm.
and the commission is not your pay. It's not. It never will be.
Right.
You get a percentage of that. Yeah, that's your fee for
Right.
doing the job you're hired to do, and you have to take some of that and account 20%
Mhm.
to business expenses. And that's the way that is, right? But too many of them look at that again, exchange.
Yep.
I'm worth my fee for working with this client because I have to pay for every one of my staples and my desk. That is nobody's problem but your own. That is your business. And you know what? If it cost you, I'm going to do easy math again. If it cost you with your cap and all your associated fees and business expenses costs you $24,000 a year, $2,000 a month. Well, what's $2,000 a month divided by 20? Right?
Mhm.
10. So you need to make 10. Your business needs to make $10,000 a month to pay that $2,000 a month. Oh, but you want to make $8,000 a month. Well, you only really get about 50%, right? If
Right.
you're on a good day after taxes, after expenses, after everything else like that. So if you want to make $8,000 a month, you need to make $16,000 a month. It's real simple math. So when you're looking at these budgets, you definitely should be looking or looking at your plan and your vision. Be looking at a minimum of a year,
Yep.
right? But 135. What's your 135 year goals, right? What are you doing for year one? Where you want to be, and what are you going to do for year three? Where do you anticipate, and how are you going to get there for year five? Too many people are just looking at today because they're 30 days late, 20 days late. They don't want to get that late on that BMW.
No. Well, and on top of that, most people just filed their taxes too. So there's a reason that I feel like there's a reason that agents have really strong April, Mays, and Junes because that bill comes in or they calculate it, then they extend so they can go make the money they need to pay it because to that point they weren't factoring in taxes in last year's income. And we've mentioned before on this, profit first. If you want to understand how to actually manage money because you've been caught short before, profit first is a great strategy. But more than anything, it goes back to, and it's part of our planning process. It's what do you want to make? What does that mean you're going to bring home when you factor in all your expenses? And does that work for you? And if it does, great. If it doesn't, well, you need to move up or down the goal. But also, in order to hit that number, what do you need to do? What are the activities you need to do? And being able to connect all the dots of I want to make this, so I need to gross that because I'm going to spend this and I need to do that to get there. Being able to connect all those dots and be able to say, okay, if I do this, I'll get that. And does that work for me? And being able to move that all around is really critical. So we have this little tool I call the agent calculator that allows our agents to actually go in and create an income goal. And then it will blow it down through a budget. And then it'll work through conversion metrics to figure out you have to make this many contacts per day to actually get to that level. And it's just a really simple way to say, if I want to get here, I got to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be able to take home this. Am I happy with all three of those?
All right. Yeah, and just do it consistently, right? There's some. I mean, you guys got a great name throughout, your ecosystems and throughout Maine and the area and stuff like that. But I promise you, you stop for 6 months and people will be saying Jeff who,
Oh,
right?
exactly.
You have to keep doing it. You have to know where you're going. You have to do it with consistency over time. Bob, what's his name? Bob Lucido, I remember meeting him or some people on his team and watching them operate and stuff like that. They do like 1,000, something ridiculous. They
Yep.
do some ridiculous number of transactions every year. They're down in like Maryland and DC area, kind of Maryland, Virginia area. They do some ridiculous number, but I remember listening to him at a mastermind talk about how much money he spends every month
Oh,
on
that'd be a
marketing
lot.
and on systems and stuff like that. It was an ungodly number.
Yep.
It was more than most agents are making a month.
Yep.
Yeah, he's got like 20 support staff and all these other things. You don't just get there,
No,
right? You don't just end up there.
no,
You
it's a build. It's
you started with one,
yep.
right? You started with two, you started with three. So it's the same. That's the compound effect.
Yep.
It really is the compound effect in business form, right? But you got to get away from this,
Right.
right? I'll close one, I get the money. I got to close another one, I get the money, right?
Yeah, you end up on that treadmill forever. And
Forever.
and then just to wrap up the original point here around, don't let the cycle or the seasonality, get you off your plan or get you out of your momentum. Um, if you are truly playing the long game and you are truly believing you're going to be in this business for longer than the next quarter or the next 6 months, there should always be a section of your day that's devoted to working on your business. So lead generating, building the pipeline, doing all those things that you need as a business owner to make sure your business will be sustainable, because that's the word I've been using a lot lately. Sustainable. What I think we realized is when the tide was coming in the last couple of years, everybody looked great. Everybody's swimming and everything looked good. The tide went out there for a few months and you realized how many people were actually swimming naked. And they were literally just riding the wave or, enjoying the cycle and had not really done anything to support or make their business sustainable.
Yeah.
Those that did rode this thing out just fine. Those that didn't spent the last 3 months worried about what was going to happen, what job should they go take, were they going to be out of the business. The rest of us were just sitting back going, we're going to keep doing what we do and we're going to get the results that we should get from that. And honestly, the last few months we took all kinds of market share in the marketplace that we likely won't give back. Those people that got forgotten or had a need and nobody else got to them will be our clients now for life.
Yeah.
So play the long game. Do not let the seasonality of the cycle trick you into thinking that you've somehow found the magic potion. You need to continue to do the things that make this business sustainable over the long term. So you're here the next time this happens and you're not taking a job somewhere else and exiting the business like so many people did. 75,000 people have left NAR in the last few months. 30,000 last month alone. Those were all the people that did not have any sort of sustainability in their business. They just rode the cycle.
Yeah. I wonder if they count me as being in there twice.
Yeah. Well, you only paying once though, right? Or do you?
No, I pay primary, then secondary.
Oh,
So.
right, right.
Yeah. But no, that's exactly true, man. You got to think about, the changing times. I'm guilty. I went all in, you know what I mean? And I got caught with my pants down a little bit of way or misjudged the market or whatever. And in some respects, I jokingly and I laugh and I'm like, I say, yeah, I say this to my kids all the time. Listen, I won. I made it. I'm still here. I went through a
Yes.
market crash. I went through a divorce, a freaking pandemic that was thrust upon us. Okay. I'm still standing.
Yep.
Better than I ever
Yeah.
did.
I'm still. Yeah.
Right. But you got to, I'm in a different place with a different mindset. You know that. I'm not going to
Yep.
get into that. I'm not sitting here trying to sell 50 homes a year or anything. I don't have the mental capacity to do that and do what I'm doing. That takes all my energy. So I'm in a different place, but I've been there. Right. And listen, I have the conversation with myself every once in a while. Man, maybe I just jump back in it, go hard for 5 years and just ride off into the sunset.
Yep.
Right. That's always an option.
Sure.
I'm doing something different, building a referral exit. Right. And so, and helping somebody else do that. And we'll lead the pack to be able to do that, where we just create content and get referrals and hand them out and get paid. But,
Right.
if you're not, if you're on this roller coaster, that's because you're not doing. Listen, every day you eat, every day you drink water, every day you're supposed to go for it. Every day you poop, every day you pee, every day you shower. You do all these things, not because you want to.
Mhm.
Ain't nobody ever woke up and said, "I want to go poop today," right? Unless you've been having issues, but that again, that's a different podcast.
Yep.
But you do it because you have to, because your
Mhm.
body requires it.
Mhm.
Lead generation to your business is eating. It's the sustenance that you're going
Right.
to inject into it. I guess the pooping's the closing. But
Yeah.
anyway, you're going to eat, right? You need to eat every day
Yep.
and drink water every day. Otherwise, you will get sick. You can perish,
Mhm.
right? Your business perishes because it's not being fed sustenance. That sustenance comes in the form of 1 hour a day. There's nobody that's going to fail out of this business unless you're trying to do something ridiculous, right? Like you're trying to break into the luxury market and you've never sold a luxury home,
Right.
right? That's hard. That don't get me wrong, that's hard. You better have your stuff together. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's possible. Anything's possible, God. But it's hard. If you're not feeding it every single
Right.
day, luxury, if you're not lead generating every day, phone calls, follow up, emails, text messages, whatever it is, having those conversations, 20 a day, start with 10. Okay. Start with 10. If you have 10 two-way conversations a day about real estate, you're going to make six figures.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're having 20, you're going to run a team. I mean, that's just a progression, right? You'll be able to feed a team. You have to feed that sustenance to your business. That sustenance is lead generation. If you're not lead generating for 1 hour a day, you're supposed to work 40 hours a week. That's what somebody had sold us a bill of goods on, that was supposed to work 40 hours a week. That's the common workplace,
Mhm.
work hours, right? The work week. So out of that 40 hours, 5%. So that's 8% of your workload is dedicated to lead generation. 1 hour out of 8 every day.
Yep.
If you don't do that, you will fail. Period.
Yeah.
Full sentence.
Yeah. And we're gonna, I think lead generation oftentimes, I think people look at that as a big scary thing. And I got to sit there and make calls and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And there's a lot of different ways to lead generate. And we're actually working on putting together a mastermind for people where we're going to go in through, those three pillars: database, inbound, outbound. What are the things we do? What are the things you can do to help people get some clarity on lead generation? Because it doesn't have to be scary. And honestly, in many cases, lead generation, if you do it right, it's kind of fun. You're talking to people and you're getting out in front of people and you're having conversations, like you're just being a social human being if you do it right. If you're not doing it right, then you feel like a robotic caller, and yeah, that's not as much fun.
Right.
But it's important to understand that it doesn't have to be this big scary topic, and ultimately that action, whether it's an hour or 2 hours a day or whatever you do, whatever your goals are, that is ultimately the activity that unlocks everything else. um, but back to a point you made earlier about the content and the referrals. I've been talking to a lot of people. A lot of people have been asking me questions around, explain this video stuff you guys are doing. What is this content stuff you guys are doing? And, just yesterday we recorded our weekly real estate show. So we have the main real estate show. And we record that. We bring in guests. We sometimes just hit on topics and it's just Jeff and I, but we're using that as an educational platform. But we're also doing features on restaurants and shops and other business owners. And we're doing some business networking, and a lot of people are like, "Well, why are you guys doing that?" Well, because it's lead generation. It's lead generation by building out a referral network. So as we make these videos and as we create these relationships with these people that we're doing videos with, ultimately they now see us, value us, and oftentimes will come back to use us. But more importantly, those videos live forever. I've got people that are we've still got people that are calling in ready to sell their house based on the radio show podcast from last year. We haven't recorded a new episode of that in 6 months, but people are still finding the old episodes and they're calling us saying, "Hey, I love you guys on the radio. I'd love to sell my house." I mean, I'm working 3 referrals right now from some of the videos that we made, and these are all commercial clients. They're like, I love what you did on that shop. I'm looking for something similar. Can you help me?"
Right.
Or somebody right now looking to buy a $2 million plus commercial building for their business, and they found us through one of these videos where we featured another business in the area. So it is, if you want to play the long game, if you want to be that super connector and that community leader, the easiest way to do that is through this video platform. It is through getting in front of other business owners, featuring them, sharing their stories, driving people to them, and continuing to help connect people to your community and your small business owners. That is such a massive unlock, and it's created so many referrals for us,
Mhm.
both in the near term, but also it'll create referrals for us for years because people will continue to find these videos.
Yeah. I was laughing a little bit because I looked up online who because I can't see it on Restream. But Saul, I agree with you. It's the little things that make the big difference. That make a difference, and nothing is underrated as a good poop.
Yep.
Those two things from somebody who's so brilliant. And Saul, I posted something this morning and tagged him about online communities,
Yep.
right? And he's been building online communities since the 1900s. I love saying it that way. It sounds so old. He's been
I know the 1900s were so long ago, right?
You've been building online communities since the 1900s. But what video allows you to do, first of all, I'm just going to say it this way: Cisco, who is the expert, I was a network engineer.
Mhm.
If Cisco said it was pink, it was pink. There's no arguing with it.
Yep.
Cisco is the foremost expert. Okay. And the foremost expert in networking. What does networking do? Networking is trafficking, handling the traffic, directing the traffic. Where is the traffic going throughout the network? Right. So that's what networking does. And what do? You're tracking packets of information. So you're going to know where those packets of information is going. That's going to give you metrics. That's going to give you data that you can analyze. Anyways, when Cisco says that 82% of traffic is streaming video to the mobile device and 89% is streaming video to your machine. When I look up on YouTube and 63% of my video usage is on a smart TV, or what we call a connected TV, which could also be an Xbox or a PlayStation, any of those things. But smart TVs, if you would, you're showing up in people's living rooms and bedrooms because that's where these things are. Some of the channels are 53% or whatever like that. Shorts are driving that. There's a whole conversation I could have. The point is, you have an ability, the unique ability to be in everybody's living room, on everybody's computer, and everybody's mobile device. Video is required because Cisco says that's what people are consuming.
Right.
But what you're going after with what we're doing, with I Love Portland, Maine, with Maine Small Business Advocacy and Networking, right? With these things, is you're building mind share.
Mhm.
You're building mind share inside the minds. I've talked about the 1990 rule many times. I'm going to talk about it right now. And now the 1990 rule was taught to me from a master themselves. 1% of people create content. Now, understand, when they talk about this online, they're talking about national influencers.
Yep.
Everything in the world can be broken down to local, and we need to think about it as local. So when we're taking this big 1990 rule and we break it down, 1% of people create content, 9% of people engage with content,
Mhm.
90% lurk. I will say it until I'm dead. There is more money in the lurkers
Totally.
than you can ever fathom and imagine. Right? Let's take the Portland Metroplex, 800,000 people. Right? Almost the entire population of Maine is in the Metroplex. Right?
Yeah. Most of Maine is in
800,000
southern Maine.
people. What's 90% of 800,000? 8 times 9, it's
720.
720,000 people just watching you over and over and over. Oh, I see this guy everywhere.
Yep.
Point of this is, I've told you this before. I was sitting at Smoke in Kennebunk, eating, doing my video for Burnt Ends. And a guy asks me, "What are you doing?" I told him, "Oh, you sell real estate?" "Yeah." "Who do you work for?" I told him. He goes, "Jeff Matea?" I said, "The Matea Group." Keller Williams. He goes, "Jeff Matea?" I said, "Yeah, you know Jeff?" He goes, "No, but I hear his commercials everywhere. Can't get the jingle out of my mind." Right. So that has been branded. So there's radio, right?
Mhm.
Now you have video, which is on all the social medias because that's where people are spending. I mean, we're connected for over 8 hours a day in some form online. People are spending 1/3 of their life online somehow. 1/3 of their life is sleeping. 1/3 of their life is online. Okay.
Mhm.
Are you where the people are? Video allows you to do that, but it's so vast on how to approach. You guys are approaching it, and our methodology too, the way that I believe, is to approach it community first, people
Yep.
first. Tell stories about interesting people, places, and things. When you see realtors online doing dances or doing all these other foolish things, that's all for following, right?
It
That's
is.
all for views and stuff like that. And that's great. And you're going to get business from it because something's better than nothing.
Yep.
What we're trying to do is build this professional environment and take our sphere of influence, because NAR, the very best thing that I love about NAR is their data and their reports. Okay.
Yep.
And the generational trends report come out every year in March. It's, I think, the best report. It
It
talks
is.
about sellers, buyers, where they came from, what they. You getting into the mindset of people. I can promise you that most realtors don't even know this exists
It's
because they're too busy living in the
yeah.
exchange.
It's great info.
Right, it's amazing info, and then and inside of there, 67% of buyers, 72 or 74% of sellers came from your sphere of influence or a referral, or they worked with you in the past. That's where I'm after. You
Yep.
can keep, y'all can fight over the 2% and the 7% and the 3%.
Right.
I ain't going there. Like online lead generation.
Right.
I have no interest in competing with Zillow, Realtor.com, Homes.com,
No.
Remax.com. I ain't even going to try to beat them in search engine optimization, nothing. But you know what they can't do? They can't be hyper local because they're too big.
Right.
You can, and you have that unique ability to be able to do that through video, social, and digital.
Yeah. If you want to fight for that small segment of the market that's ready to go, it's an incredibly expensive battle to get those leads. But
Mm.
again, going back to what I said earlier, if you're playing the long game and you're in this for the long haul, and you're gonna create that database and build that networking platform and be that super connector in your community, that will take care of you forever. You will be generating leads off of this stuff for years. And literally, like I said, our database spits out 250-ish transactions a year. They they're basically coming no matter what, because they know us, they like us, they trust us, we've worked with them before, all those different things. But we can build an entire team just off our database and never generate another lead again. But at the same time, as we do more of this and generate more leads, and it just continues to layer on. So you look at, how do you get to do 100, 150, 200, 400, 1,000 transactions a year? You have to keep building that base, that database layer that becomes a bigger and bigger part, because there's only so many hours in the day. There's only so many leads available. You can only generate so many new leads. But as you continue to create that database and build it up, you just layer new people into your world that are going to either use you or refer you. And that ends up becoming 50 to 75% of your business, depending on where you are and how you do it. As that gets bigger, it just makes your business that much more sustainable. And like I said, I'm working through referrals off videos we made in the last 6 months to a year. I did not, I was not cold calling these people. I was not mailing these people. They called and said, "Hey, can you help me?" Sure, I can help you. We get all kinds of those because they continue to see our stuff. And for us, we're in Maine. We're in a big vacation home, second home market. A lot of those people are calling us from somewhere far, far away. We had a couple people from Colorado recently have called in, and we're looking for help relocating to Maine, because of course Colorado is also crazy expensive, and
Mm.
Maine's a similar climate. So if you're in Colorado, moving to Maine's not such a big deal.
Yeah.
But we are in some cases catching these people from far, far away at the beginning of their search, strictly because we just show up when they search for things to do in Maine, restaurants in Maine, where to live in Maine. Like, we just continue to pop up in front of them, and being able to catch them at that point. Now, are we in the same results as Zillow? Sure. I'm sure it's Zillow number one, Realtor.com number two, and then we're somewhere underneath them. But the average person wants to find that local person. They want to talk to somebody who's there. They know if they go to Zillow, they're going to get thrown in this big blender, and they're not going to get somebody locally. But by continually showing up when these people are looking for pertinent things in Maine, we are getting an at bat. We are getting an opportunity that most other agents aren't getting, because we're that much farther ahead.
And let me just say this for the record, off the scope of this: Maine is Colorado with an ocean.
Mhm.
I mean, we got skiing at
Yeah.
some fabulous places. We got legalized yum yums too.
Yeah.
You can do all the same things you can do in Colorado
Yeah, you can.
and go out on the ocean.
Yep.
Go some of the world's best seafood is right off our coast. Anyways, Tom Cruise was in a movie, The Minority Report. You ever see The Minority
Oh
Report?
yeah, long time
Where
ago.
they come and arrest you before you even committed you didn't even know
Yep.
you're going to commit the crime. They
Yep.
arrest you before you committed the crime, right? That's happening now, I think. But that is how you have to approach
Yeah.
the video concept, right? Is you want to be talking to these people before they're even ready to sell a home.
Yep.
The average person, when you look at it, they don't just wake up and say, by God, today's the day we're going to sell the house,
Right.
Gene. Right? This is a lot of times. This is something to do with, hey, when we get to this age, it's all
Yep.
about planning, right? Or, oh my God, we had another baby, right? Or we're pregnant and we're going to outgrow this house in a few
Yep.
years. So there's always some mitigating circumstances which have them planning, right? And if you have a home, then you already got the basis of good estate planning down and financial planning, because you have the best equity, or the best egg that you can have to build equity in and retire with and secure with, right? And leverage as you need. You're planning that exit, right? You're planning the
Right.
exit. Same with purchasing. You don't just wake up and say, today's the day that we're going to buy a home. No, it's something, and you get your credit pulled, you get pre-approved, you adjust whatever you need to adjust. You put yourself in the best position possible to get the best product possible and the best rate possible, right? You want to be talking to these people then.
Yep.
You want to be mindful then. And if you can capture them into your newsletter, again, I'm going to go back to online communities that I mentioned a minute ago. There's never going to be a time where Facebook shares the audience with Twitter or
Right.
YouTube or anything else. It's never happened. So you have to be the conduit. What's the medium? The
Yep.
medium is a good local website, right? Just hear me out. That digital asset that you can drive people to, and they can get there because you can put that link inside of Facebook. You can put in an ad in a group. You can share it, whatever you do. You can put it inside of YouTube. You can use across all the social medias. You can use Linktree, tap me, whatever. All these different systems, so you can drive the people where you want them to. And that's the 9-point marketing strategy that we have. It's like, we want to get them here. How do you get the people there? What are you offering as an item of value? What are you offering for somebody to go there? And when you get them and you get them into your newsletter, and your newsletter starts to grow, and your newsletter isn't the same old, here's 52 homes for you. It's a good quality newsletter that's
Yeah.
talking about the real estate market or the economy in general, or what's coming in down at that old farm stand. Or, oh my God, can you believe they sold that old decrepit hotel and they're turning it into
Yeah.
right? Be that person, and people want to listen to you. They will come back, they will engage. And then every time you're doing it, it's just a little button that says, check what your home values were. Oh, let me go
Yep.
check. Hey, if you're looking for homes, click here. Right? It's not about the regurgitation of real estate. I often use that term, real estate venom or real estate
Hmm.
regurgitation, because real estate agents, again, are stuck here. So all they're trying to do is look for that exchange. So the only thing that they talk about is the only thing that they know and the only thing they can go with.
Yep.
I was mentored by another great dude named Ryan Foland. Ryan Foland created the 313 method of communication. And, when he asks, hey, what do you do? If you ask a real estate agent, oh, I'm a real estate agent. Well, I know that, but what do you do?
Yeah.
Right? Explain to me. I'm not asking you what you are. I'm asking you what you do.
Yep.
Right? So you gotta, when you can approach it differently, instead of the typical venom that will spew when somebody asks you that question, or online, or just to get, this is what you're looking for, is the exchange. Become a person of value, and people will want to work with you.
Yep. Yeah. And I've always been a huge fan of catching people at the top of the funnel, and that comes in a lot of ways. Like, you think about it when you go on vacation somewhere. What do? You search for all the hotels, all the amenities, all the restaurants. Like, you're curious what's in the area. People do the same thing when thinking about moving. The difference is, whether they're on vacation or moving, they're searching for similar things. There's a high likelihood they're going to land on your site if you've got a site out there that's answering those questions. So when somebody Googles, best restaurants in Portland, Maine, they could be coming here on vacation. They could be just coming for a quick little visit. They could be thinking about moving here. But either way, they're going to find us, and they're going to opt into our newsletter, and they're going to watch our videos, and they're going to start to build a relationship with us. We don't even know they're out there yet, but then they're going to opt in. We're going to say, oh, look, John is thinking about coming to Maine. And now we become your resource for all things Maine. So when you do decide to come here, or somebody that's coming here, you're like, oh, you should talk to these guys. I've been getting information from John for years. But you think about the process of moving. That process starts months in advance, years in advance, as they start to do their research of where to go, what neighborhoods to live in, what school systems to be in, what's close to this employer, where are the best restaurants. Like, you want to catch them way back at the beginning of this process, where there is no competition, because nobody else knows they're looking. They're looking, they find you, they kind of opt in, they're in your world. Now, where they're in your database. They become part of that database layer of your business. So as long as you stay in touch with them, provide value, and show them why you should be the person they work with, when the time comes, it's unlikely they're going to call anybody else. They're going to come to you.
And that's mind share.
It is. And that is business that will take care of you forever on autopilot, as long as you do it right.
Yeah. And that's where I'm going to
So,
spend my time and my energy. Listen, when somebody goes to Google, they're typing with intent, right? They're
right.
going there for intent. On
Totally.
social media, it's a big net. It's a big net that you're casting, and you're going to hope to get some people, right? Facebook, to me, the proper marketing strategy is all in on Google and YouTube for cold, retarget with on Facebook, right, or Instagram and
Yep.
those other places, because it's rather vast, right? And
Mhm.
one out of every four posts currently are ads on my feed, right?
Yep.
There's more and more people like me who are unplugging. Heck, I keep that book right there. If Cell's still watching, he knows what that book is, The Hype Machine, right? I'm whether between the news, the cable TV, the platforms, and everything else like that, they control the way you
Yep.
think and feel, and can control the way that you respond.
Totally.
Okay, um, so B, when you understand that, then you understand that you yourself can be a puppet master.
Yeah.
Be a puppet master,
Totally.
right? Use the platforms for what they're using it for, and become the puppet master. Tell your message, tell your story, guide the people where you want them to be across all of these devices, and control that mind share.
Yep. Yeah, and I get the question a lot from people. How did the team get to the level that it's at? How did you get to the point where you're doing 300 plus transactions a year? How did you get to the point where you took 60 listings in 90 days and most brokerages didn't? And it's because we've always played the long game. We've always been where the consumer was looking. We've always been there for them when they needed us. And
Yeah.
when the time came they needed to do something, who'd they use? They used us. Do we compete for most of our clients? Absolutely not. We're not out there. We're not going to on listing appointments where they're interviewing three other people. We're just not, because they're calling us saying, "Hey, I'm ready. You've been my guys. You've been my person. You've been my people. You've been my resource for all these years. I'm ready to go. I want you to do it."
Yeah.
And
Ain't
that
nobody
that's a
rate
total
shopping
difference.
Mattea Group.
Yeah, no, and that's the difference. Like I feel like everybody's in this mode of I got to buy leads and fight for them, and it's a street fight, and it really doesn't have to be. Like
Go for it.
this doesn't have to be a stressful business if you build it the right way. The business is there. It comes to you. It takes care of you. You take care of people. You get out of that whole mode and that whole mindset of having to continually battle for it. And you continue to build up those layers and it just takes care of you year after year because you've taken care of them. It just
Yeah.
doesn't have to be that hard. I think as agents, we take too short a view of the business. We spend too much time fighting for a piece or two, and we miss the point of being able to build something so much larger by just having a long-term perspective in mind. So do not let this current cycle fool you. Things will slow down again. The question becomes next time they slow down, are you prepared for it or not? And
I'm
that's
gonna
up to
read
you.
it. I'm gonna read a couple quotes to y'all, just real quick. Do you mind if I do that? They're
Mm,
from. I would consider this person the greatest um, digital influencer of the 2000s,
yep.
of say of this current
Yep.
ecosystem that we have, the platform generation, if you would.
Sure.
He cut his teeth on YouTube when nobody even knew what YouTube was. Right, 2000 and I forget when YouTube came out. And don't forget, Zillow didn't come out until like 2005 ish. Facebook, I think it was 2003 or four.
Yep.
All these things are still pretty new, right? Some of these things aren't
Yeah.
even a drinking age, right?
Yeah. No,
They're
they're
just
not.
coming to drinking age right now. So, anyways, Gary Vaynerchuk is his name. Y'all know him as Gary V. Attention is your single greatest asset. Attention is your single for us in real estate, right? And anybody online that's trying to sell online or be influential online or whatever. And he says, I find, and he spoke at the 2016 Inman, and his keynote was, I find it truly baffling that the real estate industry on the individual broker level does not understand that they need to become the digital mayor of their town,
Mhm.
right? Um, just be seen everywhere, be seen as that connector, as that trusted person, because what happens is when people see you online, many things happen. There's the parasocial relationship that we're going in, and it tags into what I call sphere hacking. That's my thing. Okay. When I am seen with another influential member in the community, this is sphere hacking. People instantly are going to trust me who are part of their sphere because of that association.
Yep.
The parasocial relationship is they're building up the likeness with me. Like when I was a kid, I'd watch Miami Vice, right? I want to be like Crockett, right? I got no socks on, but my feet always smelled. I got a white linen jacket, and I was gonna be badass, right?
Yep.
Um, that's the parasocial relationship. You're getting the likeness of that person. You're getting to know, like, and trust them through their character, if you would. We have to be authentic and not
Right.
some faker, but people, you can build your parasocial relationship connection with these people through sphere hacking. Reputation is the ultimate currency. Again, if I'm being seen with Tom and everybody in town loves Tom, guess what? John's trusted. John and
Yep.
Tom are friends, right?
Exactly.
It comes down to how much value you can bring your audience. These are all his quotes. And that's true. Are you bringing value? Or are you always just trying to sell? There's one franchise out there. I'm not going to say who they were. I was with them previously. I will not mention names. I will never do that. But when you go to these events, it's always a lot of ego about who's got the biggest, you know, I'm going to give it away now, but the biggest downline, and the only thing that they emphasize is on recruiting and all this
Yep.
other stuff. If you're not a recruiter, you feel, well, this isn't for me, right?
Right.
So reputation is everything, and how much value you bring to the people. So if the only value that you can bring to me is, hey, here's an opportunity. Listen, there's thousands of opportunities out there. If they don't align with me, they don't align with me. I'm not going to go after them.
Right.
I have 100 opportunities I can go after right now, but I don't align with them. I want to stay what's in my lane, what's in my purpose, what's in my purview, right? And the last one is you need to think of yourself as a media company and not just a real estate company. And those are so important to me that they're on our website,
They are.
right?
And
Because I really truly believe that is you got digital assets. You can put out with all the AI tools now, you can write blogs. I'm very careful the way that I say this.
so yeah,
Don't
careful how you
just
say
use
this
Chat
next part.
GPT copy and paste. Okay, you got to use
Uh,
other tools and build the structure and the keywords and make sure that it's structured properly.
Yep.
That's the missing piece that a lot of people don't. They come in and they think that they're doing this one piece. That piece using Chat GPT is 10% of the whole equation.
Right.
So if you're just coming in, copy and pasting and putting that out there, so many people are like, oh, that's great for SEO. Actually, it's not even going to help.
No, it's bad. It's
It's
very
not
bad.
even going to help. You're just going to have an article that gets no traffic because it's not optimized properly, right?
Yep.
But you think of yourself as a media company. You can put out an article. Heck, Jeff's got I love Portland, Maine. I love Portland, Maine. I made the logo, right? It's got the heart. I got pictures in my mind that I need to have made with him. Then there's going to be bumper stickers and shirts, and everybody's going to be walking around with I love Portland, Maine swag. Right? I love PortlandMaine.com swag. Why? Because when you go to I Love Portland, Maine, it's talking about the businesses of Portland, the things that are happening. The main radio show is there. The small business advocacy is there. Oh, by the way, if you want to search for real estate, here's a search bar. It's not in your face real estate. It's all about the community, small business, and giving back. Right? That to me is a great approach because out of the, I would say up in Portland, there must be 4,000, 5,000 realtors to the Portland board, if not more.
There's a lot.
All with the same website, all with the same message, all with the same hire me as your realtor. No, I want to be your friend. I want to be your advocate. I want to help. I want to help, support, and promote you in your business.
Yep.
Right. When you can build those relationships, sky's the limit.
Yeah, and the people that do build those relationships will be here for the long term. The people that don't will continue to chase the next lead, chase the next source, and will never get off that treadmill. But
here's the thing. I don't know if Saul's still listening. He talks a lot about paradigm shifts, and him and I have had a lot of conversations about paradigm shifts. You had mentioned that NAR had seen a reduction. The way that the world is going, and I know every realtor that's ever listening to this is going to tell me that we won't be replaced. Some of you won't. But a lot of you will, because there's a lot. Listen, I don't want to fist fight anybody if I see you in public. A lot of you are overpaid door openers, right? And that you got into the business, you're making great money opening doors or whatever like that. Let's just call it what it is.
Yep.
AI, the tools that are out there. We're talking to people that are extremely smart. You're going to have legal, you're going to have financial, the only part that's all going to be automated, right? Titles, all these things it's not, maybe it's going to happen. It is happening, right? It is happening. And there's lots of money and lots of forces behind it that are moving this thing forward. Okay. So some parts of the real estate agent will be replaced. That's the way that it's going to be. That is progress, right? I know they've been saying this for 100 years. Oh, the realtor will be replaced. Not fully, right? Somebody's still going to have to open the door. But believe this, somebody with a lot of money is trying to figure that one out too. right?
Yep.
So there's a lot of things, and if you're not, if let's say there is a reduction, let's say this does happen, it is happening, but let's say in the next 5 years it does happen, and well, we don't need 1.65 million or 5-6 million realtors, okay?
Yep.
And how are you going to be the one to ensure that you're standing out? How are you going to be the one to ensure that, oh shit, everybody's going after divorce and probate? How can I make sure that I'm the one that stands out? Hey, how can
Right.
I be the one to make sure that I'm standing out and get the commercial listings? How can I be the one to stand out to make sure that the builders are knowing who I am, and the builders are saying, man, I love the way this guy markets. I want to be with you, unless you're DR Horton.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and I have to laugh literally as we're talking. I'm not sure if you can see it or not, but I got a voicemail right there. New
Yeah.
voicemail. Literally, the message is saw and heard you online. My husband and I are looking at investment properties in Old Orchard Beach, Maine. We don't have a realtor in Maine. Looking to see if you can help us. Literally, I got that call as we're sitting on this thing from a video that I put out about investment properties.
Yeah.
Like that, I didn't. I wasn't cold calling them. I wasn't chasing them. I didn't pay for that lead. I literally put out a video, and because they saw it, they're now reaching out to me to help them buy an investment property.
The
Um,
promise from God, the promise from God, and there's no higher authority for some of us.
yeah,
The promise from God is you would never have gotten that call if you didn't make a video.
exactly. And honestly, like, and I'm not even in production. Like, that's the funny part. Like, I'm gonna have my best year ever this year. I'm not even in production. I don't lead generate for clients more than 5 minutes a day. I
Mhm.
just don't, because honestly, generally, I want to refer them off. I don't want to service them because it's not what I'm best at. Investments, commercial are different. I'm good with those, but
Yeah.
your average residential retail person is not the best client for me because I don't have the empathy of a buyer's agent.
I'll take the
But
referrals.
but that's the thing. Like, that's the third referral I've gotten, or should say that's the third person that's reached out to me in the last 2 weeks from from a podcast, from a video, from something I posted. And again, like, not lead generating. I just continue to put content out there, and I continue to get people calling in. So with that, Johnny Moe, I know we got to wrap up. So why don't we give a parting thought before we go?
Sure. Listen, I said this at your mastermind event, conference, symposium, whatever you want to call them, in October. If you're not doing video, your clients are watching mine,
Yep,
right? And there's a me in every market. There's a you in every market. There's multiple us's in every market.
there are.
Our friend Ken is killing it down in
Yeah,
Florida,
business
right?
exploding.
Doing video, right? If video didn't work, he wouldn't do it, right? Our
Right.
client Susan Cook, she's killing it with video. It allowed her to open
Yep.
up in a whole new market and be, you know what I mean? So if you're not doing it, your competition is. Somebody like me is. Somebody else is planning it. If you're going to do it, and don't just do video, be intentional, have a plan, have a strategy that will build long term residual benefit.
Yep. 100%. And yeah, my parting thoughts can be very similar. If you are going to be in this business long term, you need to start doing things that have a long term perspective. And the best thing you can be doing is dedicating time every day to work on your business, but also making sure you are where the consumer is looking. And if you want, literally, if you want leads to call you while you're on a video conversation and that are ready to buy something, you have to be out there where they're going to find you. And as I said before, you don't have to give any kind of like a TED talk. You don't have to, you know, wear the suit and tie and use all these big fancy words. Just tell people what's going on. Tell people the best place to get a cup of coffee. Tell people what's going on in the market. But if you aren't putting things out there, people can't find you. And then you're always going to be stuck on that short-term lead chasing roller coaster that makes this business stressful and difficult.
Mm,
If you take a step back and build for the long term, this business will take care of you forever. You
sure
just
will.
have to make that investment and be okay with the mindset of, I'm building for the future so that I'm not stuck in the same place I'm stuck in now. Because most of you, I hate to say it, are one more cycle away from being out of the business.
Yeah.
And those of us that have made these investments and are sitting back and making the videos and being out there, this is lead generation time. That's exactly what this content stuff is. I'm just substituting video creation for calls. But you need something that's going to live forever. That call lasts for 15 seconds until you delete the voicemail. That video lasts forever.
Can I say this before we go? One more
Yes.
thing. Two parting words. In most of my training, somewhere along the line, I talk about active and passive lead generation types,
Yep.
right? So active, making phone call, door knocking, those types of things. You're going to networking events, right?
Yep.
You're exchanging energy for a result, right? Back to the exchange, but you're
100%.
exchanging something. You're physically doing something. Then the passive, the residual type of thing, that's even running ads. It's working for you while you're sleeping, right? But video is working for you while you're sleeping. And this is why you need to create multiple different concepts of video and ideas, and because you don't know what these people are searching for. But I say this all the time. We live in a very interesting world where if you want to be an expert, say you're an expert.
Yep.
Make a YouTube channel talking about the things you're an expert in. Make a website that has articles that. And the other thing about blogs and what we're doing, and I used this the other day in an analogy. The reason I create blogs isn't necessarily so they rank. I mean, that's to me a side benefit. For me to create a blog, I'm creating a library that I can then share through newsletters, through my online communities and everything, which then drives people there.
Yep.
Be the expert. You talk about investment, be the expert in investment. You want more investor clients, talk about short-term rentals, right? Airbnb type things. Jeff just got back from that. You guys are all into that and everything else like that. Talk about it. Show people how it works. Run some numbers. Run some pros and some cons, right? Then show them some properties, unless you're a man, because you can't show anybody else's properties. But show them some properties that might qualify for that, right? Hey, this would make a great Airbnb, right? Be the expert. You can be, do, have anything you want in this day and age.
Yep. Exactly. And you can see exactly what we're doing, themediaevolution.com. So themediaevolution.com. You can see exactly what we're doing. We're helping agents in other parts of the country from Georgia to Alaska do the exact same thing. If something you want to be doing, you need to let us know before the markets fill up. But honestly, as no joke, that's a voicemail for a lead from a video I put out. I don't even know when I put the video out, but to be honest, it's the calls come in. People see this stuff. So, be where the consumer is, take a long-term perspective, and be there for the long term, because otherwise you're one more market cycle away from living through what you just lived through. And I hope most of you don't want to do that again.
Yeah. Trust me, man, when the market crashed, the lady that sold me my first two-family back in the 1900s, she owned a brokerage. I walked into a restaurant. I said, and she asked me, how many people?
Yeah.
Don't be that person.
No, it's true.
Position yourself so you don't get sucked into that.
Exactly. Yeah. Build a business that's going to be there long term. So, all right, with that, we got to roll. Everybody have a great weekend. If you need to reach out to us, by all means, please do. Happy to have any conversations with folks, but we'll catch you next week. Otherwise, have a good one, Johnny Mo.